Hi everyone, it's Lizzie and welcome back to A Tale of Many Books. So it's been a while since I did a video. I had an issue a couple of weeks back. I dropped my phone in water and it wasn't working, and that's what I use to film the videos on. So I couldn't film that week, and then I went away for 2 weeks on holiday, so I couldn't film then. And then I had to get my phone sorted out when I came back, so it's been a bit hectic. So I haven't actually had a chance to film anything. But today I've decided I'm going to film my July wrap up. So this is a long awaited video. It's been a very long time since July. I hope I remember what I thought of these books because it has been a long time. I read a total of 7 books in July, which is pretty darn good for me. And I'm just going to get straight into it because that is a lot to talk about. Okay, so the first book I read was Eleanor and Park by Stephanie Perkins. If you'll remember from my last wrap up, I read Anna and the French Kiss in June at the very end and started Lola and the Boy Next Door, and I finished it in July. I loved this series. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, as I did with Anna and the French Kiss. I think this might have been my favourite of all of them. Yeah, I think this was my favourite of all of them. I really liked Cricket. I thought he was a really great character, very interesting and a bit unique, as was Lola. So I 100% loved this book and would recommend it. So the next book won't come as much of a surprise. This is Isla and the Happily Ever After, also by Stephanie Perkins. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars as well. I think this was probably my least favourite out of all of them. I think I just felt a bit like, I don't know, I loved it. I loved the story. Obviously I wouldn't have given it 5 out of 5 stars if I didn't, but it lacked something that I enjoyed in the other 2 books about the romance in them. But I still loved it. It was still a fantastic book. This series is probably one of my favourite contemporary series I've ever read. 100% recommend this series to anyone of any age really. Yeah, I loved it. So the next book I read was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is the fan fiction that Kath, is her name Kath? Yeah, Kath writes in Fangirl. I loved this. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars? No, 4 out of 5 stars. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think that was purely just to do with the first part. So this is split into different books. So I think there's 3 or something. I can't remember, 3 or 4 books within the book. And the first one was very boring for me. It was just Simon being very angsty, and it didn't have any Baz in it, who was my favourite character of the whole book. I think that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, because I couldn't really give it 5 out of 5 stars because I did consider like skipping the first bit. I didn't. I read the whole thing. I did love it, and it was a very interesting story, and I'm really glad I got to find out what actually happened to the characters. So next I went on kind of a Morgan Matson extravaganza, let's call it that. I read the rest of her books that I hadn't read. So the first one I picked up was Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. Obviously I just said that. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was a fantastic book. I really liked the element of it being sort of the last happy summer. I'm off to university next month. I actually just got my acceptance today, and it's sort of kind of relatable in the sense that this was my big summer to enjoy, and it was her big summer to enjoy as a family. All together. Obviously if you've read this book you know her dad's ill, and that they all go to this lake house that they used to go to when they were younger, but she had problems with her. I apologise if you can hear cars outside, my neighbours are being really loud. but she had these underlying issues with her ex-best friend and her ex-boyfriend that also own lake houses there. And I really liked the characters in this book. Sometimes in contemporary books the characters can get quite irritating and you're just like, just do this, you need to, why aren't you doing this? But no, I really like the characters in this. And is it my favourite Morgan Matson book? No, this isn't my favourite, it's one of my top 2 favourites. Next one I read was Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. This one I gave 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't as good as Second Chance Summer, which I'd read before it. It's still a really good story, still really enjoyed it, otherwise I wouldn't have given it 4 out of 5 stars. But I felt it sort of dragged on a bit with the whole trying to find her friend situation. I got quite like, can you just either find her or don't? She got quite irritating for me. But yeah, I really liked the love interest in this. What's his name? Oh, it's been so long since I read these books. Frank. I liked Frank. He was nice. But yeah, I recommend Morgan Matson's books to anyone. This was, it was okay. Not as good as Second Chance Summer or Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, but it was still a really good book to enjoy in the summer. The next book I read, I thought I would take a break from Morgan Matson's books before I read the final one, and picked up Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I only gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. There's potential I'd give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. I just thought it was quite boring. I didn't really like the characters. I hated the ending. It just, I don't know. I could see what was trying to be done with the story. I could understand that it's quite a deep story with the characters' lives, but I just got quite bored. And Eleanor really irritated me. I couldn't stand her. The only reason I gave it the stars I did was because of Park, because I actually really liked his character. She just annoyed the hell out of me. And yeah, I think a lot of people say this is like their favourite Rainbow Rowell book, and I'm like, but I've read Fangirl and that's just such an incredible story compared to this. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I don't think I'd necessarily recommend it to people if you like the sort of more hard-hitting stories, because it was quite deep about her family especially. Then definitely give it a go, but I just, it wasn't for me basically. Okay, and the final book I read in July was The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This book is my favourite Morgan Matson book by far. I just, oh, it was so incredible. I loved every aspect of it. Just, I can't fathom how good it was. Clark was his name. Oh god, it's been so long since I've read these books. Yeah, Clark, he was an incredible character. I liked him. I thought he was really nice. And I loved the aspect of things not going to plan, but still having a fantastic summer, because sometimes you'll plan amazing things. I know this happens all the time. You always plan things with your friends. You're like, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this. And they don't happen, but you still have a good summer. And I think that's basically what happened with her. And I was like desperately reading every single page, wanting to find out what happened. So I highly recommend this one as the first Morgan Matson book anyone reads. If you haven't ever read any of her books before, it's her most recent one. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely do. It's just as good as all the other ones, if not better. If I hadn't said, I definitely gave this 5 out of 5 stars because it was so good. So yeah. Okay, so that is all the books I read in July. I'm going to be doing a video on what I read on holiday, because that was what I read at the very beginning of August. So the first 2 weeks of August, I'm going to be doing like what I read on holiday, and then I will do a what I'm going to read for the rest of August. I've just got a lot of catching up videos to be doing, and yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what your opinions of them were, and I will see you in my next video.